Greetings. I'm excited to be speaking with all of you today about a really important fundamental question, open or closed source AI. I'm Isaac Sikolik. I write for CIO and for InfoWorld. I'm also the CEO of a company called Star CIO and the author of 2 books. I'm really excited to have this great panel of people who have been investing in AI for some time, and they have some surprises for you. I mean, we're not talking about just mega technology companies doing generative AI. We have 3 people here who've been leading AI in their company, and I'm really excited to hear what they've been doing, what generative AI technologies they're using, and their thoughts and how they made decisions around open and closed AI. Feroz, can we start with you? Maybe give a little bit of background about yourself and the company or the government you work for.
Good afternoon, everyone. Pleased to meet you here. My name is Feroz Murshia. I am CIO for City of Glendale in Arizona. Been with Glendale for almost about 4 years now. And obviously we are a public sector entity. So what we do really directly makes an impact in our citizens' lives.
Thank you, Feroz. Sandeep, say hello.
Hello, Isaac. Hello, everyone. I'm Sandy Pulverty. I'm the CIO for Paper Transport. We are a logistics company based out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. The name is a little bit misleading, Paper Transport. We do not do anything with paper. We used to move a lot of paper 30 years ago. That's how the name stuck with us. And our customers know us as Paper Transport, and we decided to keep the name.
And Yogs.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me here, Isaac. Excited to share the stage with Sandeep and Feroz here. My job is Chief Technology and Digital Officer at Deluxe Corporation. Deluxe is a 109-year check printing company. If any one of you are still using check, you will definitely see mostly it is from Deluxe. But we are transformed into payments and data company. So what it means from technology transformation is we used to leverage technology to enable manufacturing order flow and support. To truly, in payments and data, technology is our product now. Then how do we deliver that product and experience to our customers is part of my job, helping the company to move in that direction.
Super. So we've got government, we've got logistics, we've got payments. And the first question I have for all of you is, what are you doing with generative AI?
Well, we are a transportation company, and maybe a little bit background of what we do that helps fit into the use case. We have more than 1,000 drivers that drive across the United States. We primarily operate in the Midwest, Florida, and now expanding to California. So we have semi-trucks that run on the highways. And when the driver calls the office, we have a driver managers that are responsible for receiving the calls and helping the driver. Majority of the work and communication with the drivers happens through the electronic logging devices on the trucks. If a driver calls, it's something important that he needs help. Maybe he's stuck on the side of the road, or maybe he's at a customer location and the customer does not want to accept the load, or he simply has a question on his benefits or pay packages. It is super critical for the driver manager to have the information needed to help the driver. And majority of the times they have to flip between multiple applications to get the right answer. The use case that we are actually actively working on is to have a generative AI interface that would do all the hard work of getting the right data and providing it in an easy to use interface for the driver manager and to be more efficient with serving our drivers.
So this is an example of an augmenting human intelligence type of problem, helping those driver managers. Do I have that right?
Yes, absolutely. To summarize, it's really to make the life of the driver manager easy and focus more on the relationship with the driver rather than flipping between screens to get the right answer.
Got it. Great example. I want to jump right to Feroz. I mean, what amazed me about when we spoke about your use case is the quick time that it took from inception to bring this into production. So I'd love to hear about your use case.
So our use case is very similar in terms of introducing efficiency and agility into the process that we were targeting. The way this entire scenario played out, we are in the middle of a major city hall remodel, which meant that we needed to displace some almost 500 employees to satellite locations. The ability for my team, which didn't increase in size, to support all these locations, all these employees who were at different sites now working in different environment, became a critical issue. At the same time, we have other requirements in terms of the normal expanded use of technology and the support that is needed. So we needed to come up with a strategy to see how we would allow ourselves to be able to handle all these things while at the same time not incur or add too much a headcount, because eventually this project is going to end. So the way the entire generative AI project came about and why there was a little bit of a fast tracking of it, this was an area of interest to me prior to OpenAI and generative AI coming to front, and then the adoption becoming so rapid. So I was already interested in the subject area, and I was actively looking at solutions that would fit into different use cases. And this was a use case that was top of mind. We found a solution that was a right fit. So the conversation from there became, okay, how do we scope out what we want to do, make sure that that scope is clearly, tightly defined so we don't expand and extend the use of it. And then we start. And we are looking for a effective, useful implementation and not perfection. And that's how we started. And we were able to deliver that last September.
Excellent. Very interesting use case. And Yogs, I mean, you told me about, well, I think it's Project North Star. You had some interesting use case, but the one on margin improvement was one I'd love to talk about.
Absolutely, Isaac. First, to do a quick one-line intro of what North Star is. Project North Star is a company-wide transformation initiative for Deluxe, where we are committing to improve our EBITDA by $80 million and increase our cash flow, free cash flow, by $100 million. So it's a massive transformation that is targeted to be achieved by end of 2025, going into 2026. So technology plays a much bigger role in helping us to drive through that margin expansion. So there are, generative AI is a perfect place to completely change the way you can use technology and drive that value. So the low-hanging areas that we are applying generative AI are in the places like customer support, for example, right? Many of our customers are large banks and B2B clients. And the safest place to implement for us is when we have any customer-related incidents, our support teams are supposed to not only fix the incident, but also, due to our contractual nature, develop some of those root cause analysis reports and things like that. It's internal facing, but it's manually intensive type of process to do it too. We are able to use generative AI to quickly document and summarize the root cause analysis. Then another area that we are able to use Gen AI is for roughly about 1,000 employees, we scaled Copilot capabilities, starting with Microsoft Copilot to GitHub Copilot and Sales Copilot. And we are driving all those adoption. And this has been going on for about 6 months already. Now we are in the phase of measuring the impact of productivity and various other efficiency in that space. But I thought this one is straightforward for anybody who wants to take AI. Taking like vendor-driven copilots are a good way to start and train internally with your existing employees before you scale it outside.
So what I liked when we talked, Yogs, about what you're working on, you got some things that you're clearly building, you got some things you're clearly using vendor capabilities on. Let's shift to the stuff that you're building. Not only just building something for now, you're building something for the future. So maybe talk to us a little bit about the platform that you're building for the future.
Absolutely. As I said, we are a payments and data company. What it means is both in our data-driven marketing business, that is a growth engine, as well as the B2B receivables area, data is the key differentiator. So even prior to GenAI, we already have a robust, what we call Deluxe.data platform that leverages AWS, and where we are bringing about 100 plus external data sources, more than thousands of machine learning algorithms that all generate hyper personalized, targeted marketing campaigns that many of our customers are already using. So when we started to contemplate with generative AI, it became very easy for me to figure out that there is not going to be a single winner in the marketplace. I got to build something for my company that gives the flexibility to continue to adapt to whoever wins in the marketplace, whether it could be public LLM, private LLM, created by hyperscaler, or a startup company that does a phenomenal job of coming up with LLM. What we built is I call Deluxe.ai platform that basically is an architectural framework that allows us to integrate with any versions of the LLM that we need, but focuses more on the use cases that we have to solve. So which LLM we use is completely black box for the business process that we are automating. So one best use case that I can give you is we are now extending our Deluxe.data platform to include all of our internal data by migrating our data warehouse to AWS Data Lakehouse. But just doing the data mapping and data governance in pre-Gen AI world, it could be months and months of subject matter experts sitting down and doing the mapping and everything else. What we were able to do is take the metadata of our existing data warehouse, feed that into public LLM, which is able to elegantly map it to the new data structure that we are building on AWS. And our humans were able to just validate the mapping. And I would say more than 80% of the mapping generated by LLM turned out to be accurate. So I was able to directly cut down the subject matter experts' time. And this is not a PIA related situation. It is more of a metadata that you are playing with, which allows you to quickly go and create some of this value too. But now you can start to expand that to any number of use cases. So we are using the same approach and same platform to start to create more use cases as we solve through our AI roadmap as well.
So I love that answer, because we all know we need platforms and they take a long time to engineer. We have to deliver something in the short term. It looks like you're riding both objectives in parallel, which isn't easy to do. And you're handling the hardest part, which is the data issues up front, to be able to enable that. So really good job to hear about that, Yogs. For us, I got to imagine government, you're in Glendale, Arizona, you're looking at it from a very different set of lens and perspectives and skills and tools. How are you looking at the solutioning aspect of the Gen AI solutions that you're trying to put together?
So our approach is similar to the extent that data is critical component, the data and the algorithms, right? But before we go into a solution that is catering to the needs of our citizen, we wanted to make sure that we have a good handle on how to operate this technology with immense power, and how to really define the value proposition and ensure that we demonstrate that this investment is delivering value for us. So that was the goal, and that's how we looked at our first initiative. We made sure that we look at the data that would be utilized during the course of this initiative. So we took our year worth of data and worked with our partner to make sure that they are able to handle the information, they're able to deliver the value that we were perceiving in our initial conversation. And once that was established and we agreed to that, and then we proceeded. So the issue of data was all within the confines of our organization. This becomes a sensitive issue because public sector, we're open data environment, because that is required, transparency is required. But at the same time, all this becomes meaningless if the information that we are working with is not valid or the veracity is suspect for various different reasons, then no matter how elegant your model is, no matter how much data you have, what you deliver doesn't deliver the kind of value that you need to. So that's why we focused on a very defined use case in terms of our ITSM system and the data within that. And then within that data, we put some guardrails around it. So even though I am a CIO, if I ask my AI today, and we call it Blaze, how to configure my Palo Altos or reconfigure my Cisco, it would not render an answer for me, even though it may have that information available, because that information is not relevant to me. It's not required of me to have that information, because that can be counterproductive or dangerous.
Thank you, Feroz. And Sandeep, I mean, you have an actual end user there. You're trying to consolidate the number of tools and screens. How did you think about how to design a user experience around the generative AI technology that you were putting in place?
Absolutely. That's probably our topmost priority, is to make the life of the driver manager easy. As I said, we have multiple systems in the backend. We have our ERP, which is a TMS system. We have a maintenance system. We have a safety system, HR system, finance system. And how do you make the life of the driver manager super easy with just one user interface? And it's not just about answering the question. I'm also thinking bidirectional in terms of executing actions from the NLP as well. For example, if the driver calls in saying, hey, I'm running late on this load because of this reason, we want the driver manager to be able to update the load with that information. If the driver manager can just interact with an NLP saying, this load will be delayed because of this reason, and it feeds back into our ERP, and it sends a notification back to our customer saying that, hey, this load would be late, that's awesome. We want to be more proactive than reactive with our customers. And as long as we can simplify the life of the driver manager, that's considered a huge success. And my ultimate goal is, if I can consolidate and reduce the number of systems that are involved by probably having more than 50% of the work that the driver manager does with the systems, redirect all that into an NLP, that would be a fantastic win for our organization.
And you're doing that right now on what platform? What are you like? What's the screen that your driver managers are looking at where this is embedded in?
We are integrating this into Microsoft Teams. In terms of, Teams is already integrated into our organization. We use it for day-to-day communication. I was adamant about not introducing one more application for making this happen. So it's all integrated into Teams.
Okay, so let's just jump into this question of open and closed AI and how you thought about this, Sandeep, in terms of, should I be looking at an open solution? Should I be looking at a closed solution, or maybe I need to support both?
Right. We have given it a serious thought and done some decent analysis on both open source and closed source. There are advantages and disadvantages of both. With open source, obviously the primary driver is the cost. And with closed source, you have to pay lots of licensing. And with a lot of usage, it can go up very fast. Other advantage of being open sourced is if you do have a strong team, you can customize it and make it fit very well for your business. For us, we do not have big budget for our innovation side of things. So closed source is preferred in our landscape.
Okay, so you went the simple route. Feroz, how did you think about open and closed?
Again, I think our thought process was very similar to Sandeep. Small team, public sector, we're not always on the leading edge of adopting technology. We're kind of wait and see and then follow kind of mode. So here we were taking a leap forward and trying to do something really quick. So end of 2022, when this became talk of the town, to having something ready and delivered from between May and September 2023, that was a pretty rapid speed for us. Our goal was, again, to deliver something of value, but at the same time be very pragmatic. The idea of open source is exciting. It opens up a ton of possibilities, but you really have to have resources available to do that, both from infrastructure and platform capability perspective, and then also people in your team who are familiar with and take advantage of it. Otherwise, it becomes a lab experiment of extended period without delivering value. So we looked at it from that point of view, and we looked at a solution that would fit our use case. It is closed system, but that does not mean that you cannot revisit and look at other possibilities in future. But this gives you a quick win that establishes trust within the organization.
Thank you, Feroz. And Yogs, let's finish up. You had a much broader objective and a longer term objective with a much wider data source. So how did you think about this open and closed question?
I think Feroz and Sandeep shared the foundational way to think about open versus closed and economic impact of that. What my hypothesis, Isaac, is irrespective of open or closed, who is going to be the winner in LLM itself? It's much early for any of us to conclude, because Claude could solve a certain use case for you versus Llama, then Llama could solve certain use case for you, or Google can embed everything in one solution and you no longer have to go to any open source as well. So that's why I went with the platform model, where I'm able to replace whether it is open or closed that I want to go to. In my mind, it became a super simple matrix. The matrix is, do I take open LLM or open LLM with private instance, which is what you mean it as closed, or do I even want to build my own LLM? That's like 3 criteria. But the decision for me is, what is the risk from data privacy, info security, and various other things? What is the total cost of ownership when it comes to implementing that use case? And also, what are the performance expectation of that particular use case? And finally, time to market considerations. When you apply this plot, in my use case, the metadata example that I was giving, it doesn't have to be closed source. I can use the open source. It's just the metadata I'm sharing. It's a one-time activity. I can pull that back and be done with it. I don't have to keep going back to checking the metadata matching. But if it is going to be my other use cases where I'm in the process of creating entity resolution, whether it is the same customer across different product, or is it same product, different channel, all of those, in my mind, more of closed source LLMs that I can bring in, train. I can run tons of experiment without worrying about the token cost that I have to pay if I directly hit the API. But then eventually, I also have the ambition to create our own Deluxe GPT, because all the receivable product that we create, it could be something like Bloomberg GPT, where what we share to our customer is proprietary to Deluxe, and I have to invest in building our own LLM too. In my mind, it is more of a journey, and I use this matrix that I talked about. And that's how, by the way, I'm having conversation with my compliance team as well. Here is the matrix. I'm choosing this intersection because of this reason. Then the conversation with compliance becomes a lot more easier. So that is what I would recommend, that if you frame your own matrix for your organization and then plot this up, it's not just a technology decision. It becomes easier to have a compliance conversation, easier to have a CFO conversation, easier to have your business partner conversation as well. And that's the approach we are continuing to fine tune and keep taking inside the company.
Thank you, Yogs, Sandeep, and Feroz. What I heard here is, number one from Sandeep and Feroz, be practical, right? Look for what your organization can actually test in a safe way and get some results, and see how you can bring those into production in a smart, safe way. And then I'm hearing from Yogs, go back to basic data governance, risk management principles, give yourself the opportunity to work in different environments. And it's all about the data, right? Having the data in an environment where you can de-risk and use different technologies, different platforms, different LLMs, because we're not really sure how the future will play out. Feroz, Sandeep, Yogs, thanks for being here on this fundamental question, open or closed source.